Alrighty, guys, it is 3:30 this Thursday, March 27th. Time to wrap it up. And looks like support's holding. I'm going to be modestly optimistic. Oops, that's what I wanted to do. Modestly optimistic that we may see a little bit of a strength going into the close. So far, the day started out pretty much as we expected it. We got some early weakness to get long against. It was pretty difficult to get long against that run because they ran it lower and then just V-bottomed it right back up again. They ran it higher. It looks like we had a pretty good day going, and then they kind of backed off. And now we are kind of holding in the range here. So at least our gap closure, our gap up is holding. So that they tested this gap, closed it, and now we are in a spot here at this 57, 50 to 60 area, right? That's the edge we were testing on the way down that took that out. Now it's like more of an attractor area. You can see the mode here is going to build. So I'm going to start off range bound right now. Maybe keep a slight bias to the upside in case they can hold this gap and potentially starts trading back up again. We'll see how it comes out, but it's definitely a possibility. So that was the biggest concern I had for today was this gap getting taken out. And so far they ran it all the way down into the 57.20, closed the entire gap, and then they reversed it. So yeah, we'll take it for now. Let's see if they can hold on to that. So going into tomorrow's trading, we start off range bound. I'm going to keep a slight bias to the upside to see if there's any life left in this little rally. If not, we may see them trade back down in this lower range again. But still, watch that lower end, the 57.20 to 40s, and these three support areas. Look to buy against weakness in the overnight, rotations back up. And let's see if they can maybe see a little bit of a retracement going here. But depends on kind of how they close. It's still good. There's still room for them to sell it off into the close. So I would not be getting too comfortable, but it's always something happening on that. But if they close above that 57.40, I'd probably say 30, and then definitely start off with a slight bias to the upside. If they close below the 30s, start off with a bias to the downside instead and look for the weakness in the overnight. But so far, range bound. If they close about this, around about this area, definitely stay on the long side or with a slight bias to the upside. Start off primarily range bound, I would say. Now no trades on the ES. I had a few trades on the Nasdaq I showed you. But looking at the economic calendar for tomorrow, yes. So tomorrow we get the PCE number, personal income and outlays at 8:30. That's going to be in an inflation read. Could be a very interesting dynamic. This could set the market off on one side or the other. Consumer sentiment at 10. So that's what we've got going tomorrow morning. Looking at the bonds and the Nasdaq. So bond market slowly pricing itself lower. The yields coming up a bit, but still holding pretty much in that range above the 114. So they're kind of slowly grinding down to that level. Not going to be too worried about the bond market. It's still trading in the range, pretty much in this upper range. They're not backing off into this low volume area and heading down towards that 114, 24, 25 level. So I think they're going to head down there. We're probably going to see them trade back down and maybe even take a run down to the 114s. So I would stay on the short side on the bond and see how far they can take it. It's an orderly sell-off though, so I would just look for shorts against, at this point, against the 115.25s, maybe up to the 115.30 to 116s for rotations down. Above that, take off the short bias. All right, on the Nasdaq, also a gap closure held, or gap closure. The gap was closed. We got gap closure today, but it held. The area support held. It did run it just a level below that down to the 1930s. Talked about that this morning, right? So I thought that we were looking at buying against the 50s, the 20,000s down to the 960s. The last one would have been 930. We gave it down here for since it's so volatile, and look at where they took it right down here to that lower support there. That's just typical freaking Nasdaq. It's you think you have they just ran it a little bit more than you expect. So at this point, starting off the same way on the Nasdaq, they are back up again. So look at capital flow. This is the gap. They closed the gap. They back up again. So I'm going to start off with a slight bias to the upside. See if this is a bounce of the gap, which is going to hold. If the bounce from the gap holds up, then we may see a nice little retracement. So holding out for that. We'll see how it develops. But at this point, definitely have a potential shot at trading back up again. Now, if they can't do it, if they trade below that 960s in the overnight, I would say if they close below the 20,000, definitely start from the short side. If they close at or above it, start range bound with a slight bias to the upside, and then see look to buy weakness. But if they close down below the 20,000, I would start off on the short side and see if they can push it lower in the overnight. So it all hinges on how the last 20 minutes go. You're going to get strength. We talked about that this morning as well, right? If you, depending on how the afternoon goes, if the gap holds, which it did, we're in good shape. Now, if we get a range-bound trading or strength into the close, we have an opportunity to potentially trade back up again. If not, we may see this guy's head quite a bit lower again. So this is a key support area we are at right now. So that's the NASDAQ to get started. Looking at oil and gold. So oil and gold. Gold is to the upside. They have not looked back after they ran it lower, and we talked about that this morning as well. Now, if they big move like that in the overnight on gold, we were looking for retracement at least on these single print Ts. If we got that and then some all the way up to the reverse retest of the 40s and then right back up again. And at this point, it looks to me like they're ready to trade this higher. So I would start from the long side, looking to buy against the. It's going to be one edge then at the 58 to 60s here. I had to go back and think about this for a second, but you're going to look to buy weakness for rotations back up. Now, if this starts trading below, I would say the mean here at the 55s, I would go back more range bound. But at this point, it looks to me like they're trying to take this higher. So I would be looking for the overnight to pop to the upside. And then oil, yes, range bound trading, not much happening on oil. So haven't traded that, haven't looked at it in any big way. So keep oil range bound. If anything, structure is pointed lower, even if we've seen some strength right now. And then and on gold, as I said, trade that from the long side of the market to get started in the overnight. So I haven't traded either of those today. The only thing I've done was these few trades on the NASDAQ. There was actually, what was it? There was like 4 trades on the NASDAQ. All of them shakeouts. One sloppy trade. That was this one over here. I got long on the way up. That's just stupid. And faded some heat because of that. It scratched it when it got back up again. I tried a short on the way down. That got shaken out of that. And I tried another short, got shaken out of that one. And I think I had that scary thing going on in the morning, which I just scratched. So 4 trades. But overall, $27 to show for it. So not too bad, but it's as I said, one trade there was not that great. That was just a sloppy trade. But sometimes, yes, you know it when you take it. Just take this chance anyway. You just can't help yourself, and then it's like, oh man, why do I do these things to myself? So that's just yes, the mindset psychology. That's one of your biggest issues as a trader. The mindset and psychology. You know, we have the methodology. You have a way of approaching the market, which is going to work. It's just a matter of managing your trade, but when to put them on, getting good trade location, and being able to sit in a winner a little bit longer than just a few ticks. So there you have it. All right, guys, we'll leave it there, and I'll see you guys back bright and early in the morning. Have a good evening. Later.